We're October 27th. Howdy, Sally. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate that. And just so that Fuzzy won't lose her mind, we've gone horizontal this afternoon. I'm going to walk over to the org. We're a couple of blocks away. I'm in Wabash right now. And I'll kind of recap how things went this morning. So this morning we talked a little bit about, I've been getting some comments that, hey, I'm out there harassing Scientology. Hey, Indigo, how are you? And I think harassment is absolutely the wrong term. I'm exposing them, yes. I'm keeping a watchful eye on them, yes. But I think harassment is an incredibly inappropriate way to express my behaviors here. Howdy the journey. I'm impatient, trying to get back over there. Now then we ended up heading over to the org, and they had their sign out in front, which is illegal. They do not pay a permit to put a sign and any kind of advertising out on the streets. So again, if you are ever here in Chicago and you see that, you don't have to film it. You don't have to put it on stream. Just pick up your phone and say, hey, that can't be out here. They're gonna dive inside with it very, very quickly, right? If you do see it, definitely call the police. Like this afternoon, what I think I wanna do is I wanna head over there and I wanna call the police first. And if the sign's out, and see if I can get the police to come and help them remember that they have to have that inside. One of the things is I struggle with, I don't like to use police services, especially not emergency services, for these purposes, right? This should be, to me, a 311 call, and I'll make the complaint. So regardless of whether I call the police, I absolutely will make the complaint. And the complaint will bring a city examiner out here for whatever ordinance the sidewalk signs is, and they'll go ahead and train them up on what they're not supposed to be able to do. When I got here this morning, there was a couple sitting in their car just outside the org. And they noticed that as soon as I showed up, they pulled that sign in and they pulled their blinds down very quickly. And the couple said, "Are you live streaming?" And I said, "Yes." And said, "What channel do you have?" And I had my business card with me, so I gave them a business card. And they said, "Why did they bring those shades down so quickly?" And it's really, oh, by the way, sorry, the custodian. So, oh, you're not going to see it. So the custodian, the balding older gentleman that's custodian, always wears the gray uniform. He's just now heading to his residency. They have residency in a building here on Polk Street. I don't really need to expose what their addresses are. Yeah, I agree, Dee. It should be code enforcement. I'm going to say that I don't have code enforcement's number with me right now. And the complaint does go to code enforcement. So 311 has a hotline just as well. So in Chicago, if you dial 311, that's who you call if you've got a pothole, if you've got a sign that's down, if you've got somebody who's got a sign on a sidewalk. I'm looking around here because the Scientology residency is over here. And I'm thinking there are more Sea Org than I originally expected to be here, and they're here for a much longer time. And by the way, I think I can remember 311. So that might be an easier call to make. When I head back over to the org, I will head over on the opposite side of the street, just so that I can kind of get a better shot of them. Sorry that I'm giving you a picture of my mouth. I will never get an Academy Award as director of photography. Probably never going to get one as somebody who talks. I stumble through this quite a bit. I appreciate that you've always been very graceful. Yeah, I always put the online building violation in. I'm going to go ahead and turn our camera around as we're coming up on Clark Street.
There's like a wall you can walk. Go ahead when you close the door.
Hopefully you guys were able to watch Alex over in East Grinstead. They're out there protesting the IAS. I'm pretty sure Miscavige was there at some point this weekend. He has to do his bloviation and tell everybody all the great things of Scientology. They were trying to take pictures of Chicago for the past couple of weekends, and I believe just by fortune we were able to get out here and prevent them from getting their photo ops. I'm looking up the street right now. Their door is open. We'll see if there's signs there. I can't really see it from this angle. You know, Alex does a great job of organizing it. And by the way, it takes a lot to organize that because he's got to get permits to get up and down the street, to close down the street, just for the safety, right, of everybody involved. And when we went to lunch, a lot of us went over there, it was just starting to be nightfall. So it's very dark out there, and that, you know, can be dangerous to be out there. You've got vehicles and pedestrians on the same street. All right, I can see one of the signs, and they've got the doors open, but not the shades. I'm gonna keep walking forward. So the sign is inside the lobby. Yeah, both of their signs are inside. Oops, sorry. So as we can see, you've got just the corner of both the signs that are in your view, but they're inside that foyer. This morning, as soon as I got here, right, I told him, hey, get those signs off the sidewalk. I will call the police. You know that's a crime. You know that, not crime. It's a violation of the ordinance. And you guys should be following the law, right? You, the most ethical people on the planet. And if you don't believe me, just ask a Scientologist. They're more than happy to tell you they're the most ethical people on the planet. Sadly, you not being a Scientologist are going to get a shore story. Just to be clear, a shore story is their acceptable truth or a way that they can lie to you. So they are incredibly ethical, but they will only lie to you. I'm not sure how those two equate with one another. Kendra, it is nice out here. I will say that we've been getting some very chilly overnights. You know, I think we woke up to about 40 degrees this morning. And then we should be mid-60s today, which is very nice. You know, 60 degrees is incredibly pleasant. We'll be in the shade now for the rest of the day. When you get past noon, remember the streets are northwest orientation. Once you get past noon, the sun is in the west and it's making its way behind the building. Like, I can already tell the difference that I've crossed the street and I was walking in the sun. Now I'm walking over here in the shade. It's noticeably more chilly. Last week, we were able to catch some photographers out here. They were trying to get photo opportunities of them passing out their Way to Happiness flyers. And there was a crew of 5 people in the Way to Happiness green outfits. And then they had 2 photographers. They kept on trying to sneak out. They couldn't get out and do their filming or their PR event so that they could show the people up at East Grinstead, which is where Alex is out there protesting at right now with his crew. They couldn't get the PR out here. Yeah, so they do have some Halloween stickers in here. Not sure if you're really seeing that, right? So you've got the Halloween stickers. They're trying to entertain, trick-or-treaty type people. Just before lunch, the couple and their 3 children, right? And they were young children. Are you here for the human trafficking or for the child abuse? Which one does it for you? I was looking at the car, so I didn't get a look at their faces. I could not tell you if those were publics or if they were staff member. Yeah, darn it, was it color forms? They used to have the little color form static stickers. Those are what I look at those as. Gonna do the cam back? How you doing? I'll wave to your phones. You want to see some of your flyers? You want to see how some of the ex-Scientologists and former Scientologists are succeeding in life? So here are my business cards. Thanks, Style Audit. Yep, we're just here trying to help people understand the crimes and abuses of the Church of Scientology. Usually when I'm saying, by the way, that was said primarily for the person that just walked by because he looked inside when they've got the all are welcome here, right? So we've seen this all the time. Church of Scientology, visit the Public Information Center. Public Information Center, Testing Center, kind of the same thing. Oh, you know what? I just realized my mic is at my neck and I just let a quiet belch out. Sorry. Howdy. Just got some neighbors coming by. And again, my goal isn't to film everybody that's on the streets here. So there's the woman that just walked, or I guess guy that just walked in. I can't really tell. In the pink shirt. "100% Nisa." And I want you to understand this, everybody, that I'm a peaceful activist, right? Not here to cause fights, not here to cause trouble, not here to disrupt anybody or prevent anybody's freedom of traffic, freedom of thought. But I want to help educate people as they come through here, right? That when you get the Way to Happiness flyer, and you saw it on the video last night, so here we've got some, I think we've got some Scientologists waiting. They don't want to come in when there are people outside the front. So they're going to go the other way. They're gonna possibly try to go around the back door, but they don't want to be seen coming in here. I'll see if I can give you a good picture of them. So you've got the guy with his drink, and then the two females, right? And again, I'm on a hunch. My hunch is they're coming in to do something here at that the public are coming in for some kind of celebration, a Halloween celebration, right? The ghost of Miscavige passed. Howdy. Yep. Yeah, you're right, folks. I'm only here to prevent the human trafficking and the child abuse that's performed by the cult of Scientology here. Starting to get a little bit higher foot traffic, but it is just neighbors coming past. I'm suspicious of the three people that walked by. They were definitely paying attention to me, and I just don't think they wanted to be on camera going into the organization. And we've seen that several times where people will, they'll go all the way around. Maybe they'll go to the back door. They do keep on turning and looking back here. So there's a question, do you know if protesters would need a permit to put a sign up? As long as the sign doesn't have advertising, you're free to put it up. So early on in this summer, we had somebody who, I know the person's name, we're not going to talk about the person's name, they wanted to remain anonymous, but they were out here with a 6 foot tall by 3 foot wide element, and it was telling the difference between automaton and autonomy. And since it was just explanations, the police came, and without advertising, it's absolutely free for you to have a sign out here. They can't prevent your First Amendment right. Now, commercialism is not a First Amendment right? So you cannot put your advertising out here. And their advertising is, their signs are advertising to try to pull people in, and they try to subvert them to buy the book, to buy the courses, and it's an ever-escalating path upwards. I 100% would. And I've had signs out here several times, and howdy. I typically handhold them or trifold them, right, so that they'll just sit on the sidewalk. You can't attach them to stuff, right? So the police have come by and taken them off of the trees, taken them off of this post. Now, again, the police are very, very selective in what they'll do. So the police don't come here to talk about Baseline, right? Baseline Chicago Halloween Festival. This is just as illegal as anything that we would put up there as an activist protest against Scientology. Yet they'll come out here and they'll remove the Scientology signs. They will not come out here and remove other signs. So there's an archival project. I'm not sure what that is. So if anybody knows what the archival project is, do they do genealogy? Is that what they're trying to do here? So there's the church archival process. That's what's on the video right now. Just for fun, let's head to the alley and see if those three people head to the alley and back. I have already voted too. And again, I'm encouraging everybody, I don't care who you vote for, please vote. Think of it more of a responsibility than a privilege. There's that element that says, if, you know, I'm going to go back to the front door because I think that this might be a costumed kid, and I don't know if they're having a costume party. Sorry. Folks, we will get to the back alley. It's very frustrating for me about people that will complain about political situations, and then when I ask them, did they vote, they'll say no, right? That if you don't want to be a part of the system, then you really shouldn't complain about the system, right? There are ways to fix the system. They're codified, they're So he was about to pick up, so I don't know if you saw, right? You've got the Scientologist down here. He was about to pick up his phone and say, hey, can you open up the other door for me? How's the IAS charity event going there in East Grinstead? Have you guys watching the protesters out there too? Yeah, and don't worry, all of the organizations are failing, not just Chicago. Oh, there's our friend Elena. Elena's heading up the stairs. All right, the person that had the costuming on didn't come in here. Folks, one thing that I'm seeing in the early voting numbers is the increased number of women voting this year. Historically, men are overrepresented, or not overrepresented, that's not fair to say. The percentage of men to women, there's a higher percentage of men that traditionally vote, but I'm very encouraged by the fact that we're seeing this increase in women voting. Boris and Natasha. Must get moose and squirrel. Yeah, folks, Style Audit's got her channel out here. Style Audit is oftentimes out here in front of the organization. There's plenty of, yeah, we're not seeing anybody at the bottom of the alley, so, you know, they might not have made that corner there. I just saw Hellgear show up. Hellgear is out here very often. I think is it at Heligear? But Hellgear's out here demonstrating very frequently. Corn Freak, Never in Nana, Juanita, Freeze Venu Project. Yeah. Scientology will call the police whenever they have anything that's even close to the gray area. Howdy, Jen Wow. Great seeing you. And 100%, you can wear a sign. By the way, that's really what I should be doing, is I should be wearing kind of a sandwich board over, you know, around my neck or over my shoulder so I can do front and back. Yeah, normally I have the backpack on. And folks, I tend to stay rather mobile, so I have to bring everything with me. I don't trust Scientology not to disturb, steal, throw away anything that I would leave in front of the organization. Sorry, I was intrigued by the person in pink. They were kind of stalled out in front of here. I don't know if they were trying to figure out should we go in or not. The weekend club ladies, yes. And folks, that crew has been intimidated like you wouldn't believe. Now, it's not holding weapons to their bodies or anything of that nature, but larger gentlemen will come up and stand very close to them. They will be followed when they leave the organization. So, you know, protesting is not a risk-free, and demonstrating is not a risk-free activity. But I want to let you know that these people, while they are being safe, Scientology does whatever they can to try to strike a fear with them or to impose upon them. If you remember watching the Lit Fest, right? So there was the literary festival a month and a half ago, and one of the things that we saw was two, whether they were PIs or publics, there were two larger gentlemen who came by. They tried to stand between me and the police officers so that I couldn't get clear filming. What they didn't realize is that gimbals come with sticks, so there was a stick of truth. But then they went over and they kind of got in front of and in the face of Style Audit. Howdy, no one. Good to have you in here. And they also were over in the face of Never in Nana. Additionally, they followed some of the demonstrators home that day. Now, I will say that if you watch it, it's rather funny because Style Audit, I'm going to say, gave 0 Fs about it and was criticizing, well, not criticizing, talking about his style, right? I think that he had a houndstooth shirt on that day, and Style Audit was giving him some style tips. There's a reason that her name is Style Audit. Howdy, Lisa Pete. And folks, these people, they have a good time when they're out, right? So when we think about the Corn Freak, Heligear, Nance when she's not underneath restraining orders, and by the way, she's not under a restraining order right now. She just can't be in front of the organization while the court case is pending. These people are out here enjoying themselves, having a good time in front of Scientology, and Scientology doesn't know what to make of it, right? Why are those people having such a good time out there? Right? I love that they take time out of their day. Many of them travel from, my travel is rather easy, right? I can be here usually on a work day within 5 minutes, and on the weekends, maybe it takes me 30 minutes to get down here, right? So it's not a huge burden for me to be down here. Now I do take time away from, my family in order to do this. And I do believe in this to that point where it's important that we not allow Scientology to further its foothold here in Chicago. You've got people that are coming from out of state to come here and protest. Folks, I don't know if you saw on Wednesday, I came here, and you can see that little black dot in the Scientology pyramid there. So somehow there's a sticker on the inside of the window. That's what gives it the frosted effect. And that, very nice Style Audit, that frosted effect is basically a hole in the decal, right? Or the dark spot is a hole in that decal. This past week, we came down here and Jessica, right, the beauty star, was out here trying to convince a food vendor to come into the organization. And whenever she wasn't talking to that food vendor, she was trying to clean that spot. She thought that by cleaning that with some solvent, she would be able to get rid of that dark spot, which is actually a hole, right? So not sure what in the world she's going, what her thought process was on cleaning that. By the way, that's the brain power of Scientology, right? And you have to then wonder with Joe Sakala Jr., who is the founder of Dream Exchange, and also the father of the executive director here in Chicago. He's hired her. That woman works for her, for Joe Sakala. Now, what does that person do? Probably twiddles her thumb at a desk all day long. And then earlier on the first stream today, you saw Chris Romani. He also is hired by Dream Exchange. Many of the people who are staff members here are also employees of Dream Exchange, right? Yes, Mr. Cicada. I always, so Aaron had some inside, he knows some people here in Chicago, and the claim is that the name is actually pronounced cicada. If you go to my blog post on this, so windycitythetanwatch.com, and you look at the blog post, I think it's called Meet the Staff, you're going to find out that many of them identify, so that it's them telling us they're staff members. I'm not guessing, I'm not conjecturing. They're saying we're members, right? Or we're staff members. Oh. Anything positive to share about your church? So I'm pretty sure she's got flyers in there and she's hiding her name. So this is the body router that we came across maybe 3 months ago. And this is actually where we caught her. So we caught her here. I'll follow her down. She might get in a car. She's gotten in a car in a parking lot down here, and if she gets in the car, we'll just detach from this. But we caught her right here, and then she walked down to Dearborn, right, where you see the red awning down there, and she tried to hand off a flyer, and the first one she tried to hand off, I was able to get back very, very quickly. I just told the person, hey, that was Scientology. Oh, I don't want this. And they gave me back the flyer. Now, folks, there's 1,000 things going through my head right now. Yeah, I'm kind of following this woman to see where she goes. I want to see if she's got flyers in that satchel. And if she does, I just don't want her to have free reign to hand them out. She also might be trying to pull me away from the front door because they have an expectation of people showing up for the event, and they don't want people who are showing up for their event to hear the truths about Scientology and the abuses and crimes that Scientology perpetrates. Actually, I think that Jessica is foundation staff, right? And foundation staff usually starts about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If she goes into the parking lot, then we'll disconnect or disengage. Yeah, so I do think that she's going to hand out flyers, but she's going to get in her car. And folks, I appreciate that many of you recognize that I'm a fairly swift runner. I cannot keep up with cars. So cars will defeat me. And I also want to remind people, I don't care about that person. I don't want to follow that person around. If that person has flyers, I want to intercept those flyers. You'll notice that I don't follow Scientologists to their houses. I don't follow Scientologists to their trains. I follow them when they have propaganda to hand out. If they leave the organization without propaganda, I don't care. Do what you want. Yes, Lisa, absolutely. I am enturbulating their flyer tech. Was rather fun last weekend, right? I think I collected 6 or 7 of the Way to Happiness, and Janice put her name on several of them. We saw the what I'll say, the leader of the photography crew. He got mad at Elena for cam backing me. He said, don't do that. Well, when he said that, he said her name. And now that's how we've figured out what Elena's name is. We would have prior called her Olga. Right? She is the blonde Eastern European. Now, we have not seen the dark-haired Eastern European for 2 or 3 months. So did she rotate? Did she get kicked out? Did she get sent back to Florida? You know, is she out there helping Joe Cicala Jr., the civilization builder, help raise funds for Battle Creek? Hard to tell. You know, and I think it's Elena, E-L-E-N-A. And again, my research assistant. Bridge, and by the way, she doesn't work for me, she doesn't do anything for me, but she's always very good about looking things up. And she found her Facebook pages. And yeah, as she's saying right there, right? So she's near Clearwater. You'll oftentimes see her trying to be out there and to see if the people that are leaving here, are they showing up in Clearwater, right? And by the way, if they don't show up here, there's nothing to say they wouldn't show up in California as well. You know, another one that I haven't seen for a while is Chadwick Olsen, right? So Chadwick Burke is the one that's boobtology famous, but Chadwick Olsen is the larger male. I have not seen him for probably 2 months. There's a couple students out here, and I just don't want to really put them on. Are you guys watching the protest there in East Grinstead? She's talking to somebody. Yes, don't ever go in there. So the woman that walked past, she also gets into a Florida license plate car very frequently. All right, I need to know what a donut eating plant is. Oh, I gotcha. Somebody who's eating donuts and is a plant for OSA or for Scientology. Gotcha. I was thinking those things that grow out of the ground. Here we're about to see one of the older Scientologists come down the street. How are you today? Very well. Now, some of these older women, and we haven't seen the woman with the walker for quite some time. I'm really trying to be nice to them because someday I just want them to talk to me. I want them to go grab a meal with me, right? I don't really enjoy challenging them with the questions. I'm not going to stop that person from being in Scientology by a two-second snippet of conversation, right? But I would love to someday have an actual conversation with them. Now, the woman that went up the street, I'm not actually sure what I didn't pay attention to her. She might have gone into Dunkin', she might have gone into Subway, she might have gone around the back. What time is it? Got about 1:30 here.
Down to his fucking ankles. Like, down there.
I think we'll stay out for another 20 minutes.
At that point, and like 10 heads look over, and everyone's laughing at the plane. It's so bad. No, my dad's big.
Yep.
Like, he would,
And just a reminder, we're really out here trying to prevent people from falling prey to human trafficking and child abuse. We don't care about the beliefs of Scientology. It's the idea that they have these crimes and abuses. There are so many victims. It's so easy to find anything about these victims. We look up Lisa McPherson, Serge Delmar, Whitney Mills, and we find out how they've been abused by this organization. And it's not one-off, right? The idea that, oh, many organizations have people that cause issues. It's institutional here. It's programmed into the process. Right? The idea of every once in a while we think that there are some bad cops, right? But in some locales, it's a bad department. They're trained to be bad. And this is what happens here, right? These people are trained to perpetrate crimes. They are trained to abuse the victims and the other members of Scientology. Now, the good news is I'm not seeing, although I am somewhat worried that why has this car been here for so long? So this was in the first stream you would have seen the two parents and their 3 children walk in.
They're not very tall. They are.
Hi. And what are those children doing inside here, right? What does the cult have to offer those children? I don't think there's an event going on here whatever the advertising was, it did not have a strong pull. We don't have anywhere near the number of people that we saw last week, right? So if you were here last Sunday, we saw 50 publics here. We saw almost the entire cast of characters of publics that we've seen, in bits and pieces over the last, boy, how long has it been? We're coming up on November, and we started this in February. So we're at 9 months. In the past 9 months, you'd see a public once every other week. All of those once every other weeks just showed up last week, right? And again, it was probably some PR stunt that they were trying to pull so that they could go over to IIS, which again, when we're done here, I'd love for us to go over and support Alex. I'm not sure that they're still going to be out there. It's getting pretty dark out there in East Grinstead. They're over in England, just outside of London, protesting. But they would have been here trying to get the filming propaganda to show how effective and how great Scientology is, right? But yeah, that's not something that I'm willing to let them do, right? They want to get out of the zone here and travel to get away from me so that they can do their propaganda. That's fine, but I'm not going to let them hand out their propaganda here to the neighbors. Still seeing a lot of people, just students and citizens coming by. Howdy. Thank you, no one. I'll try to remember those names. Now you know I'm going to forget those names after today's stream. Hey, Pinche. So when we got back here, the doors were open, but the blinds were still shut. We were able to see a couple of people come in. How you doing? You're fine. Yeah. We were able to see a couple of people come in. We reminded them that, hey, Chicago is not the only organization that's failing. All of the Scientology organizations are failing. That, hey folks, look and see what's going out there in St. Hill, right? St. Hill is kind of the Mecca, and I'm not trying to impugn Islam. Howdy. Yep. Yep. Time to go back in with your flyers. You're not going to hand them out today. If you saw in his left hand, so right facing to the camera, he had flyers. His claim was, I don't know if you heard what he said, but he said, I just came out here to see what time it was. Are there no clocks in Scientology? How, looking out the door, did you see that what the time was? So, how you doing? Anything positive to share about your church? Any idea why Danny Masterson is still a member of good standing? He's in jail for 30 years to life after abusing multiple members of Scientology. The members of Scientology were kicked out, not Danny Masterson. That's the organization you support. I will say he was sweating, so most likely he was here for Purif. Going back to the gentleman that just kind of poked his head out and then went right back in, right? He told a lie. Show of hands, who is surprised that a Scientologist lied? Right? Now, one thing I'll say is that he spoke to me, which that's pretty impressive. Howdy. Yeah, Pinche, they are probably renting space here. Whether or not they're renting it or not, they are spending time in this building. And again, since in Scientology, you never do anything for free, right? You'd be out exchange there. That it's most likely that Nation of Islam is paying for this element, the ability to use this building. By the way, the gentleman that just came out, right, the public that came out in the purple or violet, that was a new face to me. I did not recognize him. Just kind of looking down the street. All right, folks, I think I am going to head back, go spend some time with my family. Yeah, Helgir, he has said that before, right? And we've heard many people in Scientology, right, disparage us, call us names. We're criminals. Not criminals who haven't committed crimes, but we are criminals, right? So it's very common for that to occur. I am going to go ahead and spend some time with the family. I think, let me ask this. Well, the one that I thought was funny was the mother and daughter, and by the way, Bridge also found out this group. So there's a Scientologist up in Wisconsin, and his wife and his daughter are two of the Scientologists here. We've seen them 3 different times. The very first time, Free Xenu Project and I were having conversation with them, and Chadwick Burke, right, the one of Bootology fame, he came out and he said to the mother, "Don't listen to these jerks," right? And I just thought that was funny. That jerks is the really cool name that you're going to get to make us feel bad about ourselves, right? It's the old, and I know that that Bill Cosby doesn't really weather over time very well, but there was a time when he had a comedy skit, and he was so mad at somebody that he went back outside and he called him a gunky, and that was the most horrific name that he could think of at the time. And that's what that reminded me of as Chadwick Burke comes out and says, "We're jerks," and that they don't have to, they don't listen to these jerks out there. But again, after last weekend, Bridge found that he was celebrating 25 or 30 years. I can't remember exactly what it was, that he was celebrating his 35th year with some organization. I don't know if it was his business or if it was a charitable foundation. And again, it was probably a Scientology front group charitable foundation. And there was a picture with him, and he talks about him and his wife being the woman that we see here. We also saw her at the Lit Fest, and we saw her last weekend, and the daughter. I might see if we can bring MD Media on, and with his Faces of Scientology, show some of these public members. Yeah. So, folks, I am going to take a walk. I'll keep on chatting with you. Let's turn the camera around. I'm going to take a walk. I'll keep chatting with you. You'll see a little bit of the skyline in the background. I don't know if we've got other channels out there that are streaming. I'm not sure if the protest is still going on in East Grinstead. It's nighttime there. I'm not sure if they're staying out there at dark. My hope is they're staying incredibly safe out there. But yes. How about it, no one? I think I had told you about this, but I was down in Kentucky a couple of weeks ago, and I was doing a running event, and after the event was over, I went and I took a walk the next morning, and I found a country diner that made those old, fluffy, flaky donuts, and it was maple bacon, and just the donut itself was amazing, but the topping was great as well there. I used to know, when I was growing up, back in my church days, one of my best friends, he was one of the guys that made donuts at Dunkin' Donuts. So he would be up at dark 30 and making donuts every day, which was super cool. But then Dunkin' Donuts started centralizing their cafeterias. So they had a commissary situation. Oh, thanks, Jen. You know what, folks, we're gonna do a little tour of the city, and if you want to stay here, that's great. If not, if we could throw up Apostate Alex's channel, let's get as many eyes as possible over there. Let Scientology know that we see them, right? Yeah, thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. Hope you're doing well. And again, it's get the eyes on them, right? Show Scientology that it's not one or two people. It's hundreds of thousands of people that are watching across all of these channels. Oh yeah, we got a Bears game today too. By the way, the Bears have been doing surprisingly well. I gave up on them quite some time ago after we lost Walter Payton. But it was funny that many of my friends on that run down in Kentucky, Kentucky's pro football team is traditionally Cincinnati, and Cincinnati was supposed to have an outstanding year, but it's been pretty, they've been struggling. So the Bears record is much better than Cincinnati's record, so it was fun to kind of jab at them. Now we're going past the federal buildings. The two buildings in the background right now are these large black buildings, the Kaczynski building. And I don't know if the other black building has a name. I'm sure, actually I do know if it does have a name. I just don't know what the name is. This will house many of the federal organizations. So there is a large FBI building out on Roosevelt, but there's also going to be an FBI presence in these buildings, Homeland Security. So right here you see the Homeland Security car there, or truck, SUV. Thank you, Kendra. Yes. The other one is the Dirksen Federal Building. We're also seeing the post office. Now this is the letter delivery post office, right? Yeah, you can drop off a package here, so I don't want you to think anything there. But this is basically where people would come in to get postage and all of that. This is one of the main working post offices for the Central Business District. And then of course, you've got the old post office, and next to it, the customs house and the new working post office. But that's mostly bulk carrier stuff. So you see semi trucks over there, whereas here you're seeing hand carriers. Folks, if you like seeing the architecture of Chicago, we've got Windy Wanders the City. Yeah, you know what, because of the glass on that, you get so many incredibly nice perspectives. There's a beautiful sculpture on the other side of it. Many people will call it the giraffe, but the orange sculpture on the far side of it in its plaza, it reflects off the walls very well. Here we're seeing, this is interesting, we've got new office vacancy. This is kind of prime real estate. It's in an old building, so this is the old Mark building, M-A-R-Q. Across the street, you see, I don't know if how the spelling shows up, but you've got the Sterling Food Hall. By the way, it used to be called the Revival Food Hall. Great restaurants in there. So it's not Taco Bell and McDonald's. It's all one-off restaurants, you know, home-baked bread sandwiches. No, that one's not Daily Plaza. Daily Plaza has the Picasso. We're going to go past the Daily Plaza in 2 blocks. The Daily Plaza is where you see the old Picasso. Some people call it a wolf. I know that Picasso has a name. And again, your old, bald, befuddled host of the show does not recall the name of that, but there's an old Picasso structure there. I'm going to go ahead and cross the street because the sidewalk on this side is about to be closed. We're about to go past a McDonald's, and I think there's like a noodle company or yeah, it's Noodle and Company. This is a fishbowl restaurant. And then the next building on our right is going to be the Chase building. This is a very massive tower, and it's got a neat curvature to it. So it curves in from both sides. The base is much wider than it is up near there at the top. I know people that have offices up there, and I've been up there during the air show, and it feels like the fighters that are in the air show. Kendra, thank you so much. It feels like the fighters are going to come and pick you up at the front window. When you're 55 floors up, and I don't know if you'll see it, but you'll kind of see the curvature there. Probably not showing up very well on here. When you can see things from a height, it's pretty amazing. And by the way, up at those heights, you can see Michigan pretty easily from here, and Michigan's 90 miles away. I don't know if you've heard me say it on this channel or not before, but if you go to the seashore in Boston and look out into the ocean, all you see is land, because there's all kinds of islands, and then eventually you get to the Cape out there near Plymouth. I'm sorry, not near Providence. and then the ocean starts. Whereas here in Chicago, if you stand at the lakeshore, all you see is water. Waiting for these last few cars to come through. The city, ever since COVID, the city is a little bit quieter on the weekends. There still is an awful lot of residents living down here. Historically, the city was the business district, and there weren't any residences really. But as we see more residences, right, there'd be things like restaurants and bars that would be down here at night. Bodegas, 7-Elevens, Walgreens, CVS, whatever, that would be down here and would be open all weekend because there was enough people here to kind of service them, and they'd made a lot of money during the week, and then they would make a little bit more on the weekends. Well, with COVID and not everybody returning to office, downtown here, yep, absolutely, Kendra, you can definitely see Gary from here. You can kind of see Gary, like the Gary Millworks. So there's U.S. Steel down there in Gary. You can see the millworks even if you're just standing on the beach here in Chicago, or if you're standing at the museum, you would be able to see that down there. And that's 35, 40 miles to get there. Now we'll see the Picasso. Let me see if I can get across here real quick. See if we can give you a little bit more. Can I? Yeah, you've got the Picasso there. Oh. Now, so that you can't see that I haven't shaved for a couple of days. And folks, I'm really like 25 years old. I dyed the mustache and the beard. There's a neat building behind the Picasso. You see that small concrete structure? That is owned by Commonwealth Edison, who is the power company. And there's 4 of those here in the city center. And all of the transformers and everything are hidden inside of that building, so that while we have all the power needed to generate the power for the busy city center, we don't have the unsightly transformers visible to the naked eye. This is another interesting building that we're going to see in front of us. So this used to be called Jim Thompson Center, State of Illinois building. Google recently built this, and they're definitely doing a heck of a lot of redesign on it. It looks like they're going to reskin the outside of it. This was an interesting building that it's kind of conical, and on the inside it was an open atrium up to the roof. You can possibly see that. Again, I know that you get a terrible perspective when you're on these crappy iPhone cameras. And then now we're looking kind of towards the lake. You can see a bit of the theater district is spread out here in Chicago. But you've got the Netherlander down there. This past year, I saw 2 shows there. I saw Hamilton, and I can't remember what the other show was, which I'm going to say is probably doesn't bode well for the show, but I remember enjoying it. I just can't remember what the other show was. As long as your husband can't find me, I don't care. And thank you, Pinche, I appreciate that. So as we've been traveling north the entire time since we've left the building. The next couple of things we're going to do, we're going to go underneath the elevated tracks, which is just the L, the letter L. Some people put EL, and that's not right. So shame on them. It is just the letter L, but you will get 1,000 different reasons why it's called L. Is it the elevated tracks? Is it the loop? And then there's the argument of how did the loop get its name? Is it just the encircling of the elevated tracks here that causes it to be called the loop? This is a very, this station you can transfer, you can see up there, you've got orange, green, purple, pink, and brown. Let me see, I'll see if I can pinch zoom it out there. Gosh, I am terrible at photography. Oh, there you go. On the upper right-hand corner there, you see all those colors. In Chicago, the colors represent which line it is. And from this station, you can transfer to all of those, and then it has a direct connection to the underground station of the blue line. So in the city center, while most of the tracks are elevated, the red line and the blue line are subways. The red line traditionally, well, not traditionally, it does. It follows State Street from top to bottom through the city center. And then you've got the blue line, which kind of comes in at an angle, it meets Dearborn, it travels down Dearborn for a while, and then just before the Scientology stop, which is LaSalle Street, it takes a right-hand turn heading westward. And that's the, by the way, if you ever want to go to the Scientology org and come protest, you just take the blue line from O'Hare or from Forest Park and get off at LaSalle Street. Walk 2 blocks south, we go past the immigration court. And then you're right there at Scientology. So here you've got ADM. Now ADM is based out of Minneapolis, I believe, Archer Daniels Midland. Just a massive conglomerate of a lot of the food supply chain businesses. And our next point of interest will be crossing the Chicago River. I'm going to put you back on telephoto for just a second. Last week, you heard somebody who was coming into the org for the open house, and they said, "Oh, isn't there also a Scientology building in downtown?" And in the upper right-hand corner, you can kind of see that curved building there, and that's Christ Scientist. So it's not Scientology; it's Church of Christ Scientist. By the way, dangerous. I would not get involved with them either. They're anti-medical, so they had many legal battles where they would not let children who were in need of medical care in order to survive. They believe that prayer alone is enough to fix that. And now we're traveling down the Chicago River, or across the Chicago River. We're seeing a tourist boat below us. This is Sea Dog, and what they do, that's a very fast boat, and it does these little donuts. It'll spin you, make you dizzy, but they're also doing an architectural tour right now. And you're seeing the London House down there as the river bends. London House was basically an insurance company, but they've also got a hotel there. Here on this side, we've got the Corncob building, which is Marina Towers. Home to the highest concentration of cockroaches in the city. Cockroaches in a multi-unit building are incredibly troubling because until everybody decides they want to get rid of the cockroaches always have a place to hide. This is an old courthouse. I don't know if they still hold court anymore here, but the American Bar Association still holds offices here. C.B. Richard Ellis is here. He's a real estate guru, sort of like Jones Lang LaSalle, some of those companies. And yes, Kendra, you're right. Free transfers. Was it the Monitor, I think is what their old publication was? I don't know if the Monitor is still something that you can get. And they would have reading rooms. You could go in there, and unlike Scientology, you could read for free. I would, again, strongly advise you not to do that. Nothing in there is good reading. You can see the Trump Tower in the background there. Now we're in the River North District. This is, well, I'll say 10 years ago, it was the cool place for the young kids to be. Now, anybody with money is coming here and kind of squeezing them out. Lots of restaurants here in the River North. Coming down to Kinsey Street here. During COVID, and you'll see that, I'm going to turn this around for just a second. You'll notice that the parking meters on both sides of the street as we move north are reserved for tables. And during COVID, that street was totally restricted from traffic, and it was just restaurant seating, which, you know, I definitely liked it. I would say that you had unfair favoritism to the restaurants on this street versus restaurants on other streets, but, you know, hey, make do with what you can. This neighborhood is maybe 4 to 5 blocks deep, and then you become kind of old town, again, these neighborhoods are arbitrary. We make them up in regards to what the real boundaries are to these neighborhoods. That you've got Old Town that's up and to the left, you've got the Gold Coast up and to the right. You've got the Mag Mile to our right. Mag Mile traditionally starts when you get north of the river, and we're absolutely north of the river. You saw us cross it just a bit ago.
Yeah, I only had a couple.
And which way's more, which way do you guys like more? When I do these tours, do you like when I've got the camera facing away from me, or are you okay that I'm on camera?
All right, bye.
I think you get too much of me and not enough of the cool buildings. Boy, I looked at all the Christmas lights in there.
Hugely popular.
So here, the couple that was coming at us was talking about Rick Bayless. This is Rick Bayless's Frontera Grill. And then there's a little taco, so you've got the Frontera Grill, which is this one, and then he's got his little taco shop next door, and this is, you can only come in and get tacos here at Zoco. Still seeing, let me see, do I have that pinched out a little bit? You could live here for half a year, go out every night, and get eat at a different restaurant.
Wow.
Got Little Maggiano's. By the way, you know, I'm not going to say Maggiano's is the most Italian restaurant, but boy, do you get big serving sizes here. And if you get classic Italian meals, so spaghetti, lasagna, rigatoni, mastacholi, you can get 2 for 1. Howdy, Mama Opal, great to see you. And that used to be something I would always do. Yeah, it's probably $15, $18 to get one meal, but you get two for the price of one, and you eat one there, and then you take one home.
Well, I still have dietary restrictions. I'm on camera.
Yes. How you doing?
Are you vacationing, vlogging?
No, I just kind of do a video log of the city of Chicago.
I like
So,
it. Appreciate your efforts.
yes, yes.
Benefit my circle of mine.
Yes, yes.
Thanks.
So a couple noticed it, right? They got caught on camera. This is this used to be the rock and roll McDonald's. They remodeled it 2 years ago, and now it's just an ostentiously. To me, I'm not a big fan of the new architecture here, but this, when you said the rock and roll McDonald's, everybody knew what you were talking about, and it used to be Ed DeBevick's right across the street. I think Ed DeBevick's came back, but I can't remember where they repositioned themselves. But this one had like life-size statues of the Beatles, Elvis records. It was neat. I liked it when it was the old rock and roll one. But again, as people age out, rock and roll isn't the thing that is going to draw people to your restaurant anymore. And you've got the Portillo's, Barnelli's right there. As I said before, it used to be Ed DeBevick's. And if you ever went to the old Ed DeBevick's, and right across the street we've got Hard Rock Cafe. If you ever went to the old Ed DeBevick's, I loved it because the goal there, the wait staff was supposed to be rude to you, right? So if you didn't know what you wanted when they came up, you were going to get roasted a little bit. Or if, they would just joke with you so much, and it was fun to see that. Bridge, you know what? And you know what? I've never been to the new one, and I don't know if they can get that atmosphere back. You're right. It kind of said that no, it's not. This is. I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. This. I just want to show you this because the depth, right? At the very back, you've got the John Hancock Tower with those two white antennas. Then you've got these residences, and then which are what, 60 stories. John Hancock is 95, 96 stories tall. You've got other buildings here, and I just love the depth of the city. We've talked about it before that we had the Great Chicago Fire, and while it was tragic that lives would have been lost, so much destruction from that, but it basically gave all of the architects an empty canvas. And that empty canvas was, there are no rules, go build stuff. I would most closely equate it to, if you go to Amsterdam, Amsterdam, after it was bombed out by World War II, they chose to build every building back as it was. So they kept all of the classical architecture in all, with all its grandeur. And then you had Rotterdam, which is 80 miles or some number of fictitious kilometers away from Amsterdam. And there they said, build whatever you want to. And it's so interesting to see the different kinds of architecture that exist there in Rotterdam. So. And if you're ever near Rotterdam, you're pretty darn close to our friends in Scientology up north and L. Ron Hubcult. What's the dinner theater playhouse that was up there? Was it Lincoln Wood, Lincoln something? There used to be the old, and this was kind of common here in Chicago, you would have dinner theater. So you sat down at a table, you ordered food, and there was a show going on in the background. Sometimes the show brought itself out into the dining area. Oh, sorry. I keep on pointing you guys down because I thought I was still on camera. You guys realize I'm an idiot, right? Glenview. up by the naval base station.
I'm about to order from Silver Spoon.
As we keep going north here, we're already too far north to see Bloomingdale's. We're starting to see the back end of the Gold Coast area, where the very wealthy would live here on streets like Oak Street and Walnut Street. Oak Street, while Michigan Avenue is the Magnificent Mile, if you ever go down Oak Street, that's where you're going to see even the more luxury you're going to see more of the expensive luxury brands there. You know, the Richard Mille watch store is there. There's some Gucci, all of that. And it's kind of behind. The south side of that street is the old Bloomingdale building. Well, not the old, it's the current Bloomingdale Mall. Bloomingdale's occupies about half of that mall, all the way up at half the floor plate, but there's 7 stories of that mall. And then there's boutique stores out in front of that. Now we're up to Chicago Street. Here, I'm not sure if you're going to see at the top there, but you've got the Cosmopolitan State Bank. Now it's a U.S. Bank. The two, you really can't see it there. I'll try to zoom in a little bit more. So you're seeing 2 of the 4 piers there. That white building with the 4 like pyramid top. That is the Bloomingdale building. That's 900 North Michigan Avenue. All right. Antics, we already saw the misspelling, too late. But yes, I know the reference. I always enjoyed that. Whenever I hear somebody starting to tell rumors or gossiping, you know, well, I heard that so-and-so did this, and I heard that so-and-so did that. One of my favorite lines is, and it's from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I heard Ferris is donating his eyes to Stevie Wonder, right? Because when Ferris was out sick, everybody was worried, oh my gosh, what's wrong with Ferris? Is he okay? And he and Cameron and, boy, I can't remember what the female's name was in that. But they were just out having a good day playing hooky. Now, some of the stuff we're going to start seeing here is what would have been called the old Mansion District. And we'll be near the Waldorf Astoria. We'll be near the Dreyfus House. Dreyfus, that doesn't sound right. Dry House, D-R-E-I-H-A-U-S. Over there is Wells Street, that's Moody. Moody Bible. Moody Bible College, Moody Bible Church is there. It used to be one of the first mega churches, right? Moody was the big church, well before the Falwells and then the Olsteins came through. And boy, there's many of those mega churches that are out there. It's really a beautiful day, and I'm not sure that you're seeing it here on camera, but just a very pretty day out here. I'm intrigued. We just saw a street light, like a red light camera go off, but I don't know why it would have gone off. There were no cars traveling fast, and there's no lights here. I'm not a fan of this spy technology that's going on. Here we've got Washington Square Park. And then just north of it is the Newberry Library. It used to be just a mansion, the Newberry Mansion. Now it's the Newberry Library. And people will come there and give talks about books that they've published, things of that nature. I still owe everybody on the other channel, Wendy Wanders the City, I still owe you guys a tour of Bridgeview and Bronzeville. That is kind of funny. Go park at the church. They've got lots of parking at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night and on a Friday night. Let's walk around Newberry real quick. So this is the Newberry Library. Yes, they did. And that would have been in the old, when Mother Hubbard was the place to be, right? Mother Hubbard's and what were the other ones on Division? So we've gone past Chicago. I think we're on Oak Street, or it might be one north of Oak Street at Walnut. So this is, we're on Walton Place apparently. This is the Newberry Library, the Newberry Library Award. Just love the architecture here. Howdy, Nance Drew. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. Here's Harvest Bible Chapel. And Harvest, this particular building isn't one of them, but Harvest Bible is another one of those mega churches that's out there. Earlier we talked about how many people, right, I'm not going to be here forever, and there's all kinds of demonstrators that'll still be here in Chicago. I'm sure that when Nance's court trials are done, she'll be back out here. Sorry, I want to see if Mothers. It wasn't Mother Hubbard's, it was just Mothers. Yes. And there's another one there, I think it's called the Lodge. Division used to be just those bars right there. And it was kind of a boundary between the northern edge of Mag Mile and the ultra-rich who were living up there on the Gold Coast. This, I've never figured out what this is, and there's a couple of these in the city. Warren Bar, and this is the Gold Coast, and it's post-surgery rehab that goes on there. But I don't think my insurance company would cover that. I think that's a very steep price tag to be at the War Bar. Going past the Pallet Chisel. Okay, what's going on in that statue? I believe the little boy is saying, "Can I touch you here?" And I'm pretty confident the answer is always supposed to be no.
Me too.
I know a little bit about that.
These are neat areas up there. Oh. Howdy. So here we've got the Ruth Page Foundation. So originally I guess it was School of Dance, but now it looks like it's more of a generically for all the arts. There's some neat boutique restaurants in this neighborhood. There's an Ace Hardware down here. Ace had a tough week. I think that this past week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, they finally declared bankruptcy, and I think that they're going through trying to figure. I think it might be Crafty Beaver is trying to buy up all the assets there. And then if we were 1 block over, we would be in the luxury car area. BMWs, Lamborghini, Porsche. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, both Ace and True Value weren't corporations, they were co-ops. So it was a loose consortium of independent store owners, principally independent store owners, and they just pooled together their buying power as a co-op. And it was an interesting organization, the way that they had done that. But apparently Ace is going through some. Again, I don't know if it was Chapter 11 or Chapter 7, but they did go through bankruptcy this past week. Now we're on Dearborn. Yeah, Kendra, I think you're right. And I'll say that early on, well, first of all, let's start with, when you went to an Ace Hardware or you went to a True Value, for the most part, the staff there were rather talented and understood handyman type work. So you would go in there and say, hey, I've got this problem with my toilet. And they would be able to tell you, you need this valve, and here's how you install that, and be careful of this, and you might want to get that tool, and here's how I would do that. And they were very, very educated, and they were well versed on what it was, and it was such a helpful experience. Now, when the big boxes came in, the fear was we wouldn't have that, and I think that they were, darn it, I can't remember the guy that started Home Depot. He kind of was intentional about that early staff there. When you would go into a Home Depot, they were pretty knowledgeable about what was going to, but now, it just seems like we've all disintegrated to the lowest cost talent available, and I'm seeing less involvement and less education, less talent in the handyman area with those people. So, oops, sorry, we're going across Division right now, and we talked about a couple of bars, right? You've got Hopsmith there, you've got the Lodge on the corner, Butch McGuire's. And then, yeah, I think, and Mother's is down this way as well. Oh, you're probably seeing this, right? So you've got Butch McGuire's and then the original Mother's. If you were ever watching Wendy Wanders the City, which, by the way, we should be on Wendy Wanders the City right now, but I'm just too lazy to switch over channels. I'll cut this and repost it over there when I get home. That we've done a walk through the Gold Coast before, but we went down State Street, well, Astor Street and State Street. And today we're on Division Street. Oh, thank you. Can you hear me now? My mic died. Okay, thank you, Antics. This is Third Coast. Again, there's some neat little boutique places here. Coming up is RH Restoration and Hardware. This is a beautiful restaurant. It's got a little bit of an open air atrium in the center of it. Massive tables. Beautiful, lot of oaken paneling inside the building. Howdy. So, strongly encourage, if you're in the area, go ahead, take in here, go grab a drink, grab a coffee. Boy, here's somebody who's done the spider webs up. Yeah, well, I'll say this, that if you were to put a bourbon bar inside of every furniture store, I think the furniture stores do much better. Look at the beautiful dragon up there. Ooh, that's creepy. Just a second, I'm turning off my body cam. I think we're safe from Scientology. Oop. Okay. We're back on the road again. About to see a bunch of skeletons climbing up the building. Here you're seeing that they have torn down some of the old mansions and put up the massive multi-units. Gosh darn land developers. And I only say that because I don't own the big apartment buildings. There's probably a profit to be made in there. If you're ever in this neighborhood too, and it might be on this block, and it's behind us, Mike Royko, who was an old, I think he was Tribune reporter, he would kind of hold court here. And he would, by the way, back in the day, if you were a newspaper reporter, you were somebody big, right? And there was the Palm Room back there, and he would hold court in there. Yes, you do get more people in there. Now, I will say that it is not exactly low-cost housing. They've done this. Oh, I'm not sure if the shadows are showing much there, but we've got quite a few decorations going on there. I was going to let that car go through, but it looked like we had some other pedestrians heading out.
I know. I feel like I always see people walking into the.
Again, another multi-unit dwelling here. As we come up the street here, we're going to come up on Chicago's Latin School, which I think is a magnet school. One of those schools where you have to test into it. You don't have to live in proximity to the school. This is a neat little church. So what is this? This is St. Chrysostom's. church and rectory and such. Sorry, we're gonna keep heading north up to Latin School. And again, while I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of religious philosophies or some of the beliefs of those places, boy, could they build some beautiful buildings. I've got family in the southwest of England near Salisbury, and you've got the beautiful cathedral there.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same size.
It's just a beautiful tree-lined street. If we were 2 blocks over, we'd be in Old Town, which is, it kind of grew up as the hippie arts district. But again, anytime you've got the artistic crowd, oh, the Wizard of Oz is about to walk by. Dorothy and the Scarecrow there. Anytime that you have the artistic crowd, typically not altogether wealthy, they find a neighborhood, they start gentrifying it. The big money comes in and kind of squeezes them all out. And so while that would have started as a hippie art district, and when I say hippie, I mean nothing derogatory towards it, and there's probably a nicer way I could say that, but I'm an uneducated dolt. That's really kind of how Old Town got its start. It was the arts district. Bohemian. It's a beautiful stairway. Just a lovely building. As I said, we've got the Latin School across the street.
I wonder if like they're using all the factories.
And then you've got the park across the street. Welcome back, myself. Folks, this used to be at many times the northern boundary of Chicago got moved. And it kept on acquiring or assuming these towns and villages and so on and so forth. This used to be a cemetery. I've got a gas-powered blower here. Sorry, the gas-powered blower was causing us a little bit. So this park used to be a cemetery at the northern boundary of Chicago. And when Chicago acquired this space, they figured it would be better not to have it as a cemetery, and it would be a park system. And they dug up and relocated all of the graves. Now, as people have built, so you've got the Chicago Historical Society over here. As people continue to build in here or dig in here, they would find leftover remains, sadly. And then there's a mausoleum just up over in this corner. And the mausoleum still has, it's one of the only places that still was supposed to leave its remains here. But this starts Lincoln Park. In front of us, you've got the famous statue of Abraham Lincoln. Very seldom do you see a picture of Lincoln standing. Usually he's seated, but this is definitely him standing. And then you've got, you know, quite honestly, North Avenue is behind me, but most people probably call it Old North Avenue, and it was rerouted up and around. So there's a car, you can see the stream of cars that's going behind the statue. That's where North Avenue is today. The other side of that is the bottom of the park that leads to Lincoln Park Zoo. So you've got Lincoln Park Zoo up there. Folks, I think I've told you this before. I used to date a girl that lived across the street from Joan Cusack, right? John's sister. And the Cusacks were a legendary theater family here in Chicago. Joan Cusack has married a very wealthy finance guy, and they do very well. But she is, and I know that people get upset when you use the word Karen, but if there ever was a Karen, she's a Karen. She was just a terrible neighbor. Never had anything nice to say. Always thought she was entitled. We're going to see more Moody now. The round building with brick, that's another part of Moody. So Moody had a college, a Bible college, right? So you had the church, and then they had Moody Bible College as well. See, I'm going to get us over to Old Town, and then I'm going to send you folks on your way. Got Latin school here. I know we turned this into a Windy Wanders, but if any of you are still interested, I think that Alex is still out there in England. If not, maybe we can look at sptv.space and see if we can do a little bit of a room raid. But I'm now going to go grab a coffee. I've got my steps in for the day. And go spend time with family.
And then they do a body on
Oh, now I definitely want to be in England. One of my favorite things, I told you that I've got family in southwestern England. In England, you can walk across somebody's property. You can't stay on their property, but you can walk across somebody's property. So there are all kinds of gates and fences and pathways in England. But one of my favorite things to do, and that I had to do when we were over there, is we walked from my family's town down a footpath into the next town, walked into a pub, had our pint of Guinness. I'm not a Guinness fan, but when you're there, that's guess what you're going to drink. They didn't have any Adams or Smith houses. We sat by the fire, had ourselves a Guinness, and then we got back on the footpath and headed back to our town. It's just one of those things you got to do when you're in England, I think. Are there any channels that are active right now? Can we go send some love? I would say you should all count those as steps. You made it an enjoyable walk for me. All right, I'm going to put deference towards Chicago. Let's go say hi to Corn. Is Corn at the org, or is she just doing a live elsewhere? She might be in Battle Creek this week. I don't know. Folks, Let's head over. Let's head over to Corn Freak, say hello, and I will go ahead and stash all my gear, get my headphones on, and I'll join you over there. All right. Thank you all. Have a great day. Thanks for being here.